Let's cross to my colleague Makgala Masiteng, who's standing by for us in the Free State. Makgala, over to you.
Good morning, Nompu. Indeed, as you have indicated, there are many issues that people are looking forward for the minister to address. We are coming live from the investment summit here in Mangaung, where actually after they reflected on some of the issues that they are facing as the municipality, they actually identified that they are running on a budget deficit. So they decided to have this investment summit where they will try to also approach investors to assist, of course, because they are struggling with the issue of addressing some of the backlog issues, especially with regards to your water and sanitation bulk infrastructure. But I'm standing with the city manager, Selo Mure, just to take us through their expectations. Of course, you are approaching the investors today, but the truth is you have indicated that the budget that you are receiving doesn't really meet the demand on the ground.
Good morning, Makgala. Good morning to the viewers. Mangaung is hosting today an investment summit. The simple message that we want to send to investors is that Mangaung is ready for business. As you would know, Mangaung is currently under financial recovery plan. As you correctly reflected, we have a budget, but we also have a huge debt book. We are owed about 11 billion as the city, but we are saying the investors, please come and carry some of the load from us. We've got, as you correctly said, we've got infrastructure backlogs for roads. It's around 7 billion that we require as the city to get our roads to be in a good condition. For the water and sanitation aspects, we want around 4 billion. We are a city that doesn't really have water, but also certain other infrastructure, including our wastewater treatment works, are not in good condition. But broadly, we believe that when you've got business investing in other areas, it increases also our revenue base as the city. We are not necessarily saying we want money that comes directly to us. We want various investors to pick pockets of investments, land, where they can invest, create jobs, and therefore create our revenue, increase our revenue base as the city. The higher the revenue base, the higher the rates and taxes collection for the city. So we are necessarily saying with this investment summit, Mangaung is open for business after a long suffering. But we are also saying we also want to listen to the investors. What is that which they would require to come and invest in Mangaung? We are the metro that attracts the lowest number of investors generally. People regard Bloemfontein as a place where you just come and fill in petrol, or overnight if you decide I'm going to Cape Town or one of the other 6 provinces that we are connected to. So we want people not just to bypass Mangaung, but to come and invest in Mangaung, create businesses, create wealth and create investments so that our revenue base can increase.
Talking to that budget deficit, of course you're expecting the Minister of Finance today to table the budget. What is it that you're expecting, speaking to the issues that you have already looked into?
Okay. Incidentally, we engaged with the National Treasury over the last 2 days before today. We have presented to them our requirements, our budget deficits. Of course, we have made a plea. Mangaung has a history of retaining money to National Treasury, but we have put in systems, and that's the message we took to Treasury to say, institution-wise, we are ready. Please don't take any more from us. We want to send the same message to the minister that increase what we have as a city so that we can grow. Our budget is currently around 10 billion, but remember the budget is funded also partly through National Treasury, but largely through the residents of Mangaung. So we would of course want to have an extra as a city. We know it's never easy. There are many competing interests, competing cities, competing provinces. But we are saying Mangaung is now ready after going through a rough patch, particularly at institutional and governance level. But we have stabilized now and we can do with any extra resources as the city.
But have you put systems in place? You have indicated, of course, that you have had that history of retaining the money, even though people are still in need of services.
Yeah.
Do you have system in place that even if he decides to add more, you'll be able to use it?
You would know that Mangaung for a long time had vacancies in critical positions. So all senior management positions have been filled, which is part of institutional system. In terms of governance, we've got all our structures functioning, council sitting, we've got CFO and other HODs, the MPEG. So what I can say is that we are investor ready and we are finance ready. We are ready to receive the money. We've got systems in place. Our supply chain processes are regularized. Everything, I must say, we are ready to govern Mangaung. I think you would have noted there's not been civil strifes in Mangaung. There's not been a lot of industrial actions. In fact, there's not been industrial actions. There's not been civic, industrial, any type of action. So in terms of institutional, even in our engagement with Treasury, I acknowledge that at institutional and governance level, you are there. You have stabilized services, which is, I always say to the colleagues that the biggest investment summit we can hold is to have your institutions operating well, your city being clean, your city being able to provide services. But without money, we cannot do some of the things. So we require investments and we require money. We require additional resources to get this city where it belongs.
Just lastly, talk to us about the importance of that money, especially in relation to you being able to provide services. We have seen lately that there's an issue in Mangaung, especially in terms of water, that constantly there's a shortage of water in Mangaung.
Okay, the issue of water in particular is a big issue for us. We are a city that doesn't have access to a lot of water resources. But if I touch on the current issue is because of the turbidity of the water. When there is rains, it takes longer to cleanse water or to purify water. So it's not a question of shortage now. It's what do you bring to the citizens? Are you going to bring them the brown water or the cleansed water? If we could cut corners, everyone would have water daily. But we have a commitment that today that water will be, the provision will be regularized. But the long term, we're engaging with various role players, including Val Central and National Department of Water Affairs. Remember, we have about 79,000 households that are not on waterborne system. So utilizing our relationship with Val Central and the Department of Water Affairs, we are going to draw water from the Harib pipeline, which will enhance our capacity to deliver water because we don't have water as a city. But at the same time, we're engaging with various other departments to refurbish our wastewater treatment works. Because when you have more water and your treatment works are not functioning well, it results in the sewer spillages as well. So we are correcting a system that has collapsed over decades. I can say over 20 years, there's not been maintenance of our systems. But we are drawing plans, working with various national departments to regularize both water provision as well as the sanitation services. So part of this investment summit is also to say we've got systems in place. Please come and investment in the city. We are not going to, as the city alone, solve all the challenges that we are faced with. Even if you can have your institutional governance in place, without resources, without investments, we cannot achieve anything.
Thank you very much. That is the city manager of Mangaung Metro municipality, of course, talking to us about the expectation in terms of the Minister of Finance speech today, but also saying that they are not just sitting, they are now trying to attract investors in terms of addressing some of those issues, Nompu, as he has indicated that they've been running, of course, on budget deficit, and they are trying to actually address the backlog in terms of refurbishing the infrastructure. But with that, it's back to you, Nompu.
Thanks very much, my colleague there, Makgala Masiteng, reporting from the Free State.